Welcome to Work Reborn, live from Barcelona, brought to you by Lenovo. Work Reborn is a research series surveying over 600 senior IT leaders worldwide to uncover the key to creating a productive digital workplace. Last report, we talked about using AI to work smarter and stay safer. Now we're moving from AI readiness to AI reality, where technology and human connection are reshaping how we work and thrive in this new era of work, or as we like to call it, Work Reborn. Let's get started. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming by. Tell me about your mystical, disruptive IT company that I'm hearing so much about.
Well, the company is called Lionsville. We are a high-end IT engineering company, so all-round engineers. We have a very niche focus, so we focus solidly on business-critical transformation engagements, where we also focus on vital infrastructures of a nation. We modernize and transform IT landscapes, which are actually landscapes that have a top and bottom line impact for the company, for the enterprise. And we do software development. We're specialized in digital twinning, IT and OT, convergence, heavily also in AI. But we start with ourselves first before we think about AI towards our customers. So how do we make our own company faster, better, and even cheaper by embracing, of course, what AI has to offer? Where we less focus on the technical side,
Yes.
We focus on building the logical side. So we're talking about unified data models, which is really in the world of real-time processing. And then eventually we apply LLM and all these different AI technologies to do digitization, prediction, and simulations. And this is where our maturity model comes in.
Tell me about the culture of your team. It sounds like to be a leader in such innovative strategies that behind the scenes there must be great people working behind it. The personality, the culture overall, yeah, what do you guys like there?
For sure. Well, it's good that you say this because culture makes the biggest difference. So what we did is we sort of turned around our organizational structure where we say experts in the lead, where our lead engineers are signing a decision authorized. So if you really want to become an engineering company, make sure your leadership is engineering, but also bring responsibility to your customer. Keep the communication short, be very responsive, but also have your engineers be decision and signing authorized. And this also allows a lot of growth opportunities for our alliance, where you can really grow in maturity and really become an impact for your customers also. So, and we run the company based on behavior and principles. We hate bureaucracy. We hate procedures. We hate processes.
Yes.
So this reinvention of the wheel thingy, we're in the front. Organizational structure is really low. Speak up mentality. So we have 5 DNA principles, which we all hold each other accountable. Our sole KPI of the whole company is customer satisfaction, which is actually customer love. So we find it truly a privilege to serve. And that is with entry and exit. So we call it the red carpet. So when we welcome and we have chosen a customer to welcome it, we're in it for the long run and with all the trust and loyalty that we can give. And that's love. So DNA principle number 1 is love.
I love that. It's love.
Yeah.
It's a funny response, but I actually heard, very briefly that you guys are really not only passionate about the craft, but quite interested in Star Wars and stuff like that. So I wonder if we think about AI in a metaphorical sense, in the Star Wars cast, right? Who is AI? Where would you place AI in the world of Star Wars as an analogy to kind of talk about it?
I think it's literally a combination of all
Really?
in one. You have to be really open-minded. You have to embrace it. You have to go with it. In our company, we don't think in threats. We think in opportunity. So there's a high level of optimism in our company with this new technology trend coming up. And we're very thankful and grateful that most of our customers are really also tech savvy
Yes.
in this case. And they are really embracing this new trend to transform.
Yes.
So it's also opening doors for vendors like ourselves. And it's not an evolution. It's literally a revolution. So what are you going to do with a revolution? You jump on that boat and go with it.
Right.
And with the engineering skills that we have to bring, we form it the way we want it. And when we talk about business critical IT services, you really have to know what you're talking about. And that's not only from a technology perspective, but also from terms and conditions, laws and regulation, everything, because it also impacts the company. So
Right.
what door are you opening? What advice are you giving? So yes, it's a combination of everything, and I love your analogy. It's the force.
I think AI is the force because depending on who uses it, how you use it, it's there, it's all encompassing, and it can impact others, like you're talking about too. But I think when used for good, it can have fantastic results. And part of some of the things that we've seen from our Work Reborn report is we noticed that AI also can help in IT procedures as well. So we found that 83% of IT leaders agreed that predictive and proactive issue resolution is a key in the digital workspace, but only 21% have achieved that. So what's standing in the way of bridging the gap, and what small step do you think can move the industry closer so it can, AI can be that force to help take people to that next step? We can get to 100% rather than 83%.
Yeah, it's a really great question. And I'm actually truly in agreement about those percentages. We've been fortunate that we have already have some experience and lessons learned. So if I may share with you some of them.
Yes.
One of the experiences, without having to mention any names, is that you see enterprises kickstarting with AI as if it is an innovation project. And before you know it, you're doing project on project, which we all call use case development, right?
Right.
Design thinking, ideation is high. But eventually where it goes wrong is when you need to processly implement it. Is it being adopted? This is organizational change, right? So if we look at the tradition pyramid or the triangle, the Trinity model of change management is about technology change, process change, or people or organization. The adoption of it really hits process and organization. Then something happens. A market tendency changes something within the company. What happens to R&D projects and innovative projects? They get killed.
Right. They're the first to go.
Yes. So, and our services model is plan, build, run as an integrated approach. So what are we trying to say here is that whatever we design, we build, and whatever we build, we run. And you only run things when you brought it to production. So this is the way we sort of engage with our customers, is that there's no way back. So there's no checkpoint restart. That as soon as we have done a project, we are going to bring it to production. And you have to really design it, strategic architectures, all those kind of things. You need to think all of those things. And when you sort of enforce actually this plan, build, run integrated approach, that you're not just doing the project just solve to prove that it works,
Right.
but you really want to implement it, you have to do digital by design. You have to do secure by design. You have to also embed the organizational change, the process change, and all these things that are immensely important before you use it, because it has to be reliable.
I think that's a great segue into this other interesting fact that when I was reading the report really stood out to me about the implementation aspect, right? On average, enterprises we found are managing about 897 applications across multiple clouds, yet only 28% are integrated. I think that's the byproduct of a project or research initiative here, a use case here and there. It's not connected. There's not a plan going into it, right? So where do you see the biggest opportunity to reduce fragmentation in the digital workspace, and what's actually worked to create more connected systems in your experience?
To me, those are two questions in one.
Okay, tell me more.
So the opportunity I first see what AI is to bring, especially when you think about multi-dimensional data models, it's your new data strategy. It's your new data governance. So when you're working in a real-time world and you are sort of ingesting all these data sources where all this complex landscape is all about, and you're making your data model even self-learning, and you're creating scenarios which you can simulate so that it also really enforces you to become predictive of what the future has to bring, and you can make data-driven decision making, you've got your new data lake. So you've got a lot of applications that are doing all nearly the same thing, and everybody's still looking in this old world about the one size fits all, but it doesn't exist. So you just do another application, and landscapes become even more complex. So the opportunity I first see with regards to AI as a disruptor is that it becomes your new data strategy. With regards to enterprises that have complex application landscape, which are really fragmented. That's the old school transformation, right? So refactoring applications, making your landscape more modernized. And that is the first step that you need to do, as we say in Dutch, making sure that that the foundation of your house is laid first
Right.
and it's really good before you start building the house on it.
Would you say that's the key differentiator between the legacy way of doing things and the new way of what we're talking about
Absolutely.
now?
So it's the evolution journey. So quantum leaping straight away to embedding new disruptive technologies whilst actually you still have a lot of complexity organizationally. If that's digital workplace, if that's critical applications, if that is just your landscape as such, that usually is garbage in, garbage out,
Right.
right? So you need to provide a roadmap. And this journey must be committed to. So you first achieve value with reducing complexity. From reducing complexity, it lowers your OPEX, et cetera, et cetera. This is, again, transferable as a business case to innovate. And in small steps, you bring value by adopting those new technologies that are out there. But you do that from a clean sheet. And yeah, that's our vision, at least, towards it.
Yeah. What do you think as you look to grow and, implement all these amazing innovations that your company is the future of work? We call it Work Reborn. What does Work Reborn mean to you in the next 2-3 years? Heck, even 1 year, things are changing so quickly. What do you see the future bring?
Living a dream in a real-time world. That. Deviceless. Why do you still need a workspace? It's all digitized in so many ways that it allows me to look a bit into the future. Especially as an engineering company, what separates you from the rest is that it's a risk game, right? And this risk game, you can only beat if you can look a bit into the future. And I see that digital workspaces looking into the future will give you that.
When you use the force the right way, the future is bright. You've got the power. No, I say
am
that
your
in
father.
jest. But yeah, I say that in jest. But what I really admire is the ability to, like, as an engineer, like the ability to see something, shape it, and create it, and take an idea and turn it into reality. And I think it's amazing that, that future is more real than ever. And, for those who are, maybe nervous, or maybe their environment isn't as let's move forward, let's innovate, CTOs, CIOs in that position, what advice or encouragement would you give to them?
Dare to be a change agent. It's not only about costs. Dare to step up the plate, and change agent dares to take risks because there's an emotion to it. And I know we live in not only in a rational, but in a highly cognitive phase, especially when disruption comes as a revolution, because an evolution, okay, fair enough, we deal with it, we lean into it, and we fix it.
Right.
But a revolution, you don't know what's coming, right? So then you shouldn't be risk averse, because it will, in the end, it will become a blockade. And then eventually you've got businesses looking over their shoulders saying, hey, where did we miss the boat?
Right.
Why aren't we flexible? Why are we losing competitive advantages? Why is our market share reducing? Because it's going faster than we think. And, I remember that not only a few months ago, we're talking about 2030. That's really going to be the bullseye. We're already talking about next year and the year after that.
Right.
It's going, and it's coming.
The future is now.
So be a change agent.
Fantastic. Steve, this has been a really wonderful interview. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights and what you're looking forward to in the next year, even at this point.
With the agentic AI implementation that we already have done within our company, this is hypothetically speaking.
Yes.
Let's say we're 50 man large, that we're doing work for 200.
Yeah.
That's value. And what our customers are going to benefit from that is that IT does not have to be expensive. That's taking also control of your own company and bringing value to your end customers that also expect to see some form of value, and experts that have changed their own company first in the benefit of themselves.
To round out our conversation, in your opinion, what initiatives do you think Lenovo is doing that you agree with or that you like from what you've heard so far that you feel align well or could align well with what you're doing at your organization?
Without having to mention any names, but one of the vital infrastructures which have a direct impact on society, Lenovo is the most trustworthy device that's being used in the field. And I'm not talking about the software, all the critical software they're running on it,
Right.
but it is known for its future proofness. It's trustworthy.
Mm.
And I think this is also what Lenovo should further innovate on. So when you have a Lenovo, you know it will work. And I'm talking again, these are people that are using it literally in the maritime industry as critical devices. And I think because you have that trustworthy from a device perspective, I'm really interested to see how you're going to onboard on this AI revolution.
Right.
That is sort of has nothing to do with the device because you have that reputation already.
Right.
But you're going to increase
Right.
your trustworthiness because it comes from Lenovo.
Exactly. And we have to also be change agents too and hop on the same boat, right? We can't let opportunity just go by with how things are rapidly changing.
I've been in the field for 35 years, and I remember when devices were so important and people were just buying workplaces like that with the representative of Lenovo, we threw the thing on the ground and we started dancing on it, and then we opened it again and it still worked. And that was literally...
And that was
and
done.
that still after... And this is, I'm talking about 30 years
right.
ago. And
that's imprinted.
It's imprinted still.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation, Steve. Thank you so much for coming by the podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.
If anyone is interested in learning more about the Work Reborn report, make sure you download a copy for yourself. The link will be available in the show notes below. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, a QR code will be available for you to scan on the screen somewhere over here. Grab a copy for yourself. And that's a wrap. We're all set. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Work Reborn, powered by Lenovo. Lenovo is turning readiness into reality, empowering people, technology, and businesses to move forward together. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Apple or Spotify to continue the conversation on how we're bringing new life to the modern workplace. Thanks for watching.
Lenovo.